Tens of thousands have been killed, say the United Nations and Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry. Among them, thousands of women and children. And thousands of Hamas fighters are dead too, say the Israelis. Yet one man is still alive, according to Hamas, its leader, Yahya Sinwar. While if Israel had located him, it would likely say so. Israel's failure to find Sinwar and many others in the Hamas high command is one reason its pledge to dismantle Hamas is far from fulfilled, meaning peace may be a long way off. We travelled to Beirut, Lebanon, to where last week the Hamas second-in-command died in a drone strike. Israel has not admitted it was behind the hit, but finding Salah al-Aruri, who had links to Iran, would have required a sophisticated spying operation. This local store owner, who says an air conditioner from the apartment smashed through his window, was amazed Hamas was there. You never saw anyone living there? Not one time, he says. There, the hole in the roof where the munitions broke through before exploding, sending shrapnel hurtling across the street. This tree set on fire, this car incinerated, a textbook targeted assassination that risked killing many civilians. Israel has a long, controversial history of targeting its enemies back to the 1950s. Its attempt to kill Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat in Lebanon and beyond were called Operation Saltfish. And after 11 Israeli athletes were killed at the Munich Olympics, it methodically tracked down the terrorists involved with deadly results. But Israel has also often slipped up. In 2010, the assassination of a Hamas leader in Dubai caused international uproar when the killers, in disguise, were caught on hotel cameras. Now the heads of Israel's intelligence and security agencies, Mossad and Shin Bet, are vowing to hunt down all those behind the massacre of October 7th, where 1,200 people died and some 240 were taken hostage. A person familiar with the Israeli government's thinking tells NBC News Qatar and Turkey have unofficial immunity from strikes against Hamas leaders there. Foreign diplomats and former US officials agree. With Hamas still holding hostages, Israel would be reluctant to undermine a communication channel through Qatar. We travelled to the capital of Qatar, Doha, to talk to a member of Hamas's political wing. Bassem Naim says many of his family in Gaza have been killed, seemingly in targeted strikes.
Any leadership, he is expecting at some time to be targeted.
Including you?
Including me.
He claims that efforts to keep the Hamas leader and mastermind of October 7th alive is just like the US protecting its presidents.
I am sure the security instructions for someone like Joe Biden is not the security instructions for you in any case.
Is Yahya Sinwar still in Gaza?
This is the last information I have.
Israel's hunt for the Hamas high command is pivotal. The country has accused Hamas of using civilians as human shields, as has the United Nations. And those who study Hamas say it may hold on to some hostages simply to protect its leaders. Hamas itself says it will not hand over all the hostages without a ceasefire. Israel, caught between a deepening humanitarian crisis in Gaza with an escalating civilian death toll and the fear among some that to stop fighting while the Hamas leadership is still in place will look like a defeat.
Let's bring in Kier now. And Kier, just as always, strong reporting here. It's not just the idea of what's happening in Gaza, right, or what would happen next in Gaza. There's also the situation, as you and I have been talking about, what's happening elsewhere in the region, right?
That's right, Hallie. And the spotlight may well, in the days ahead, shift very dramatically to the Red Sea, to those Houthis in Yemen. We now hear that they have sent 21 air-based air and sea drones that were shot down by aircraft-based aircraft. But the fact that this is the largest attack so far, after Secretary Blinken warned that there will be consequences, that is the big issue in the Red Sea now. I understand before this that there was an idea to have a coalition of 6 countries ready to attack Houthi bases inside Yemen. I'm also told, though, by people who know Yemen well, that considering that the Saudi Arabia fought the Houthis for almost 8 years and didn't silence them, there are real questions about whether that will work. So, Going back to the piece, for Israel, they are looking at a real escalation in the region while they continue to try to pursue this war in Gaza despite the civilian casualties, and they haven't managed to achieve their war aims, and they are increasingly criticised around the world for what is happening in Gaza. In other words, Israel is trying to escape from effectively a lose-lose situation, and it's difficult to see right now how Israel does escape that, Hallie.
Kier, Simmons, thank you so much for that. We're glad to have you bring us our original tonight. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.